Well, as you said before, how does training have to do with federal? Well, the MC licensing, B-double road train licensing, is done through the ASQA, which is a federal body.
I know who they are. They had no idea what was going on, but anyway.
So those guys are probably responsible for a lot of the MC licensing, and
they don't know that.
Not over the ball. I mean, it's done by state bodies that regulate it. Queensland TMR is the regulator up here now. TMR has actually just taken a bit of a insight into the MC licensing. I was MC licensing up till about.
I know why they have, mate.
Yes, I was MC.
Congratulations, they've done well. Keep going, David.
I was MC licensing up till about 18 months ago, and I stopped MC licensing for the very simple reason that I could not do what they wanted to do and compete in the market with the other driving schools and get people trained up in a B-double, or they could jump from a HR, so they could go from a 20-tonne truck to a 120-tonne truck in a day. And
easy.
It was, and it was. It still is. It still is. And there's the training. You know what I mean? I suppose it probably starts with us. And the federal government have actually just released a training stimulus package for driver trainers. And they're paying for people to become truck instructors now and teach people how to become truck instructors. So, which is a disaster waiting to happen. As it is, we've got unqualified drivers out there, and they're just ticking the box, tick and flick, and they're able to do it in an hour. Able to do it in an hour. And unfortunately, I've sort of turned to training from being on the highway. I had a fatigue-related accident myself in a B-double in 2006 at Coastline, where I later double over up at Benarabi. And I'd owned the school then, but my training changed, as it does. And as a result, here I am today, pulled out of doing training for that purpose. I just don't think you can get someone licensed in a day. We need to have an apprenticeship.
David, I mean, the greatest of respect, mate, I think you need to go further. I know you can't. You can't, all right? And we've seen some terrible examples, and I don't know if you read that brilliant report from the Rural and Regional Affairs and Transport Senate Committee on Training. You see that?
No, I haven't yet.
Yes, where we actually wrote in there and we said that, you know, in this day and age, it's hard to believe that a driver can get his MC, not work as an MC driver, and then 12 months later become an instructor.
Yep, and that is the case. I watched a video the other day of a driver that an instructor that I sacked, doing a load tie down, training people how to tie down loads, etc., and he has never driven a truck in his life. I fired him when I realised that his resume was not truthful, and the biggest truck he ever drove was a 12-tonne tipper. And so, yeah, it's kind of, I don't know where you go from that, mate, but I don't know how you can sort of push for those training methods to change. Apprenticeships are what we've been talking about, because, I mean, a plumber probably can't kill someone with a job that they do, but we give them an MC licence and they can drive into a town and take out a family or whatever, and they do. It's not just a possibility, it's something that, it's reality. And there's no repercussions for anyone really in a lot of ways, except hurt for the families.
The plumber's got to do trade for 4 years.
Yeah, so...
Guess what the plumber charges to get to the job?
He charges right too, doesn't he?
I think, David, look, get your experience, you know, your opinion on this, and I'd raised it in the Senate quite vocally, I thought, a couple of weeks ago, where the example of the Melbourne truck driver, and this is, I can say this, it's all in the news, and crikey, a young man called Sandeep Singh, who, wherever in Melbourne, came in, got his training, and he worked for this absolute bottom-of-the-barrel scumbag mob called ERMS Transport, who contracted Civic Transport, says it all, doesn't it, you know, who did his one-day training, got the truck, and then now there's a family who've lost a loved one, and this young man is tormented to the point where he's tattooed the person's name and her police number and the day that he killed her and all this. And there's two lives that aren't going to come back there, let alone. You know what came out of the government? Have a guess.
Nothing.
5/8 of bugger all.
Yeah. There was a guy that, there was 350, TMR did remove 350 licences off people in December 2018. Yep. And the party responsible, 19?
Up here in Queensland?
Yeah, in
on
Queensland.
The one through the trainer that got caught?
In WA?
Oh, no, in WA, yeah, sorry, WA.
There was one in WA and there was
one in WA and
Queensland.
one here in Queensland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the trainer that was doing it was actually a second party, so he never got touched.
That's right.
It was the RTO that got rolled, and the RTO hadn't been doing anything with transport. He hadn't had a truck license. He didn't even have a truck license. So,
What's the fix, Dave, and with your expertise here? What's the fix? What needs to be done apart from industry as one, which now industry, certain sectors of industry, and I congratulate certain industry representatives now singing from the same hymn sheet, who are actually saying this needs to be fixed. But what's your
look, I think they need an apprenticeship. What's happened these days is different. The old school ways was we were taken under someone's wing. We did a licence at a time. We learned how to drive that truck. We learned to drive the old truck, the worst truck in the fleet, so that we knew how to drive, because everyone's got that worst truck in the fleet that they sit down the back and the apprentice gets all the bad jobs. So you kind of need to train people from the ground up, not doing it the way we're doing. I'm tearing my own business apart, but like not doing it the way that we're doing it. The way we're doing it's wrong. We shouldn't be able to jump licences. They should have, if not an apprenticeship, like a tour of experience to do. There has been some talk of hours in a logbook before they can jump licences.
See, I'd like to throw a curveball out here, because as an ex-truck driver, this is what gets up my snout. We learnt at the hip of our old man, most of us. And I'll say this loud and clear, most of us learnt illegally.
Yep.
And most of us got our experience getting in behind the steering wheel and having a pedal.
We did.
All right? And I've got to tell you, it turned out good truck drivers.
We did.
Now you can't do all that stuff now, because all the experts have got into it anyway.
I think
And the insurance companies and all that. Sorry,
no, you're right.
but we learnt.
Yep, we did.
But we also learnt, as part of being a truck driver, it wasn't just getting the flashy bang and getting the photo taken, and I hope I've got a third trailer so I can cart more freight for free.
That's right.
But we actually learned how to, sorry?
They weren't 600 horsepower trucks
No,
in those
that's
days.
true. No, they weren't.
So you couldn't do too much damage learning.
True.
They were chugga, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Very different times.
So true. So it's even more, but I'm thinking that truck driving needs not just getting in behind, turning the key on, starting it up and get going, but we should be building in, I want your thoughts here, Dave, and to you too, Peter. We should be building in basic things like loading, lashing. We should have being able to repair and change a brake light. We should be able to say, oh, I've got a flat tyre, I need to change that flat tyre. What's your thoughts there, rather than just...
I agree. I agree. From an early age, we've taken the most basic, natural way of learning away from everyone. When we were kids, we went with Dad in the truck. You'd watch him, you'd see what he did. If your dad was a carpenter, you'd go to work with him on a Saturday. Now you're not allowed on the job site. Now you're not allowed in the truck. Now you're not allowed to go to that workplace anymore. It's all fear of safety, I understand that side of things, but that's the most natural place to learn, is when you're growing, when you're doing it subconsciously. You're not thinking about you're not learning, but you are learning. You're not in a classroom, but you're learning every inch of what Dad does, you're watching. Every student that we get now, where the families from the transport industry, we can whistle them through, no problems at all. They can do the job. They've got all the experience, all the road experience, the road savvy experience, and how to deal with the truck. We can get them through in about 6 or 7 hours in a crash box type thing.
Yeah, of course.
The others are about 8 to 12, and you're leading them the whole way. And every time you take them up for a test, you think, are they going to get there? So we've taken that basic learning away from us.
So part of the training that you do, are they taught about fatigue?
No, they're not, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's what Peter was saying earlier.
Our job is to get them a licence, that's it. We've gone from we're not really a driving school, we're a licence school basically.
Yeah.
So we're teaching them to get a licence. I can take anyone without a licence and have them a licence in 4 hours with a test at Queensland Transport.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And that's pretty scary, and we're using automatic trucks. I reluctantly bought automatic trucks, and in Queensland in particular, you can go in an automatic truck, and as long as a lot of the bigger trucks we've got, and we've touched a bit on visas and what have you, can come over here with a visa, and then the transport just swap their licence over. They just go for a test in an automatic truck. They might retain that automatic car, automatic HR, automatic B double, and they only do that in 2 years. Then they can take a Hyundai XL to Queensland Transport, do a test, and have a open class licence, a manual licence.
But they can't-
Not a full crash box, but they can have.
Hang on, just come back a bit.
Yeah.
Take a Hyundai XL.
Yes.
What's an open licence?
There's a B condition licence, which is a synchromesh, and if they do it in the Hyundai, they get a B condition synchromesh licence.
Truck licence.
Yep.
If they've already done the automatic.
If they've already got their B double
manual.
licence, if they've already got their B double licence and they've got an automatic B double licence, they can take a car to Queensland Transport and have the automatic removed off their licence.
Makes sense to me.
Where's the problem?
Okay.
There's also
Getting
another.
late now, my head's hurting.
Again, I'll give that example of John West, for instance.
Yeah.
That he has a mentor sitting beside that driver for that whole bit at a cost.
Yeah.
But he's smart because he goes, yes, it's a cost, but that person will stay with me and I can sleep overnight because I know he can drive the vehicle properly. That's a smart operator, and that's what you need. If you're going to be an
There
electrician,
are some that do that. Let's just.
Yeah.
There are some really good trainers out there, and we do some guys that the companies have trained their guys, and then they look after them. So that's good.
you know, if I'm going to be a plumber or electrician, I cannot get, after I've done the theory in the classroom, I'll go out to the job site. I've got to have a tradesman with me while I'm doing my job to show me what I've learnt. That's what we need in this industry for the future.
All right, so look, in 60 minutes, you've got 60 minutes, no you haven't. You've got 60 seconds, guys. I'll come back to you, Craig. Peter, I'll leave you to last, mate. You've got 60 seconds, Craig. You're the man pulling the purse strings. You're the minister. What would you do to tidy up this industry? What would be a first good start? We won't shoot for the top. What would be first good start?
I think introduce proper training and proper safe rates.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Yep, that's pretty easy. Neil?
I think somewhere owner-drivers can go to, if they have a dispute with their principal, somewhere that can get an enforceable undertaking that's like a Fair Work Ombudsman or a Fair Work, you know, instead of having to go to court, which is, you know, the cost of going to court, no one's going to do it. You need to go somewhere where we can get an enforceable undertaking for the owner-driver if he's got a problem. So you need a tribunal situation.
But does that, what without a minimum rate?
Well, whether it's a minimum rate or whether it's enforcing conditions in unfair conditions in a
okay.
contract, or it could be for anything, you know. But
Sure.
but currently, if you've got a dispute with the guy who's giving you the work, you've got to take him to court if he rips you off or if he does anything wrong. You know, you're just not going to do it.
Thanks, mate. David?
Mate, it all starts with the training. It's a long-term problem, unfortunately, but we've got to start with the training. We've got to start with the trainers. We've got to start with training, and we've got to start with road safety and training them properly with road safety, because a lot of the trainers, I mean, I can give you an example of a guy that failed 3 truck tests and then went and did a driving lesson in a car
And what?
in Queensland.
And got his truck licence?
He was a driving instructor in Queensland.
Oh, driving instructor.
Yep. And he failed 3 truck tests, but he was a car driving instructor, and he got out of the truck and went and did a driving lesson in the car after failing 3 truck tests. So that's the calibre of training we've got.
You can't make this crap up. Okay, thanks, David. Peter?